In this video, you will learn how to use question pools, and you'll also better understand what question pools are. So, what are question pools? Question pools are a way to randomize the questions students get on a quiz or an exam. So essentially, every student gets a different version of a quiz or an exam that you provide when you use question pools. So if you're interested, this is the steps that you need to take to use the question pools. The easiest method is to create a question bank, and then from there you'll go to your quiz or your exam. Then on the quiz or the exam, you'll use the question pool feature and you'll use the questions from your question bank. So let's see how this looks. Once you're inside of your course, what you want to do, or when we're inside our course, what you want to do is you want to go to the right-hand side to where you see details and actions, and then you want to locate the phrase manage banks, and you want to click on it. Now, if this is your first time and you haven't created question banks, your screen will look like mine. So what you're going to do is you're going to look for this plus button here and you're going to click on it. Then you're going to click on new, and in here it's going to say, oh, new question bank and the date. Always just click on the word new and title it. So for example, I am going to call this the final exam question bank. And you can use this for any, so this is just, again, a demo, so you don't have to use it for a final. It can be for a unit or a chapter quiz, for example. And then once I have the title, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to this plus button here. And I have many different choices of the type of questions. So this is very similar to building, let's say, a regular quiz or a test, except this time you're just building it on the question bank. So let's build a question. So what I'm going to do is I am going to click on multiple choice. And in here, I'm going to set this up as a multiple choice. So first I'm going to adjust my points. I want this to be 5. And where it says question text, I'm going to put in my question. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And then I'm going to put in my options how I normally would. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then what I'm going to do is if I don't use the 4th choice, I'm going to come to the end and click on this garbage can here. Then once I have all my choices, I'm going to have to do that again. Once I have all my choices, I go to the box of the left of the correct answer and I click on it. This indicates to Blackboard that that's the correct answer. And then I come to the bottom and I click on save. So that's one question. Now, if I wanted to add another question, I just come to where I see this plus button here. I click on it, and then what I do is I'm going to put in my essay question. So I'm going to click on this, and then I'm going to adjust the point value. So I want this to be 10 points. And then where it says question text, this is where I'm going to put in my question or my essay question, and then I'm going to hit save. Now, in the interest of time, I'm not going to go through the steps over and over. I'm only going to do one more question so you can see it, but this is the general step that you are going to take. You're going to build all your questions. So this step might take a little bit longer because you might have a lot of questions that you're trying to get your students to answer, and that's perfectly fine. So I'm going to do one more question. I'm going to click on this plus button here. I'm going to add another essay question. I'm going to type in my question text, and I also am going to adjust my point value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click save. And then I'm going to close out of this, and I'm going to close out of this again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go locate my exam. So I know it's in Unit 15. I open up my unit. I open up my cumulative exam, and you'll notice here how it's blank. So what I can do is I can click on this plus button here, and then I'm going to select the first choice where it says add question pool. And then it'll give you all the questions from your quiz, but it's honestly easier if you just go to where it says question banks, click on the question bank, and for example, in this question pool, I want them to have a random selection between either of these questions. I click add question, pick a number. So for example, I want one of these questions to display, and I want it to be 10 points, and then I hit save. And then you can repeat this as many times as needed for like multiple choice, for multiple answer, for any of the questions that you have. But this is how you use the question pool and how you get started. So I hope this helps. Thanks for watching. Bye.